What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Tight Lines Podcast. In this week's episode, we will be piggybacking a bit off of our previous episode where I reviewed my time at the Indiana Fishing Expo. This week, we will discuss why you should be buying small batch handcrafted American made lures. And I guess they don't have to be American made, but specifically, we're talking about the small batch handcrafted lures that, at least for me, are made in America. We will discuss some brands that I buy, price differences, how to find these brands, and so much more. And then after that, we will discuss a topic that we have yet to hit on the show: brand sponsorships. And we're going to talk about why they can be a slippery slope. We're going to talk a little bit about the positives and also a little bit about the negatives. And this will all be coming from personal experience. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you guys don't know about yet that we're going to kind of let you guys know about today. Not going to be airing out anyone's dirty laundry, but we are going to be telling the whole truth, the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as they would say in a court of law. So stick around for that. All this is coming at you right here on the Tight Lines Podcast.
Welcome to the Tight Lines Podcast, your destination for anything fishing. Now here's your host, Tyler Plackey.
All right, everybody, welcome back. As you heard in the intro, today our first topic is going to be discussing why you should branch out and try new small batch American-made baits and lures. Now, I get it. We all love Strike King, we all love Rapala, Z-Man, Megabass, and every other large bait company in the world. And they have amazing baits. They have great colors, they're easily accessible, and they're normally a decent price. Some of them get a bit expensive, but overall a pretty good price. And as good of baits as these companies build, there are people out there making better baits. I'm telling you, there are. I'm talking soft plastics, I'm talking jerk baits, crank baits, glide baits, swim baits, and any other type of bait you can think of. Handmade jigs, bladed jigs that they're making craws, painting crankbaits like we talked about. There are men and women across the United States and across the world, but again, we're talking today about United States handmade small batch lures. And they're making these baits in their garages, in their basements, in their offices, their workshops, wherever. So now it is my job to convince you to try these baits. But before you can try these baits, you have to find them. And that, my good friends, is the hardest part. It's easy to swipe a card and tie one on, but finding these companies, honestly, is the hardest part. So how do I do it? Well, I have a couple, and by a couple, I mean 6 different methods that we're going to discuss today. On how I find baits. And remember, I don't just use one of these, I use all of them in conjunction. I use them together to find these cool new lure companies from around the US. And each method, can be applied to rod companies, scent makers, anything else fishing related as well. This isn't just for lures. These are ways I've found all sorts of different fishing tackle companies. So let's discuss them. And first, we're going to talk a couple brands. Just throw a couple brands out there for you guys to get a name on. Robusto Custom Lures does some awesome stuff. Dark Corner Customs does some really cool stuff. Picasso Lures, and those are just a couple, name a few. Go check all those guys out. They do some really, really cool hand painted lures, especially Dark Corner Customs crankbaits. That guy, he's out of, I believe, South Carolina, maybe North Carolina, out of the Carolinas. Does some really, really awesome hand painted crankbaits and jerk baits and glide baits. And you actually got to start by doing, I believe you got to start by doing the mounts and the replicas. But his work's awesome. You guys definitely ought to go check him out. So, we're going to jump in real quick to the 6 methods that I use to find these baits. So, the first one is a website that I use, who's not a current sponsor of the show. So I have no money in the game talking about them here. But I'm more than happy to, because I fully stand behind their product. I bought a couple products from them. Had a great time with them, some good success with them. So that's what we're going to talk about. And they actually do mystery tackle boxes. That's right. You heard me right. Mystery tackle boxes. And this isn't the Mystery Tackle Box Company or Guggen Baits or any of the other ones that kind of just do in-house brands. These guys go out, and I'm going to name drop them in a second, but we're going to talk about them. And they go out and they scour the United States, all 50 states, and they look for people who are making handmade custom baits. And they have soft plastics. They have jigs, they have tungsten weights, they have anything, spinner baits, buzz baits, crankbaits, jerkbaits, everything. Anything you can think of, this company has. So who is it? That's right, Dark Horse Tackle. You guys have heard me talk about them before on the show. We've done an unboxing from this company right here on the Tightlines podcast. If you remember, we did that Tackle Talk podcast box with them that we unboxed. That was really cool. Ton of cool stuff in there. And again, going back to some of the companies I was just talking about, that's how I found out about Robusto Custom Lures and Dark Corner Custom Crankbaits and Picasso Lures and Beast Coast and so many other really cool lure brands that I'd never even heard of before, because honestly, I didn't even know, that I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know it was such a mass produced thing. I didn't realize that there was so many people out there making these really cool baits. And again, I love Strike King. I love Berkeley. I just spent a ton of money on Berkeley today, funny enough. But who doesn't want to fish these small, cool baits? If you haven't been to the website yet, obviously go over there, check out Dark Horse Tackle. They do the mystery tackle boxes, but they also have an actual lure shop. So if you go to darkhorsetackle.com, they have a tab called the bait shop. On there, you can build your own boxes. You can buy them separately. However you want to do it, they have a couple different options for purchasing things. They have like mystery baits you can buy that they don't have pictures up yet, but you just have to trust them. And honestly, there's hundreds of companies on there that Josh and Zechariah have put together. And they have found through their time and brought onto the Dark Horse Tackle website. This is a great method. Maybe you don't buy every bait off from them, but at least this is a good way to have a good list and a good collection of these brands you've never heard of. So shout out to the guys at Dark Horse Tackle. They've done some really cool stuff so far. Got a couple different boxes from them and been super pumped every time I've gotten some from them. Never let me down. Always been impressed with the baits. Sal's method number one is using darkhorsetackle.com. And these are not in any order of importance. These are not in any order how I use them. These are honestly just kind of how I thought of them when I put it together. It's like, how do I find these baits? This is kind of how I figured it out. Dark Horse Tackle was probably the first place that I learned about finding some of these smaller batch lures. So that's kind of why they were number one. Method number two is going to be social media. Yep. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you use for social media. Social media is an excellent tool. I use social media to promote my content on my podcast, my YouTube channel, my fishing stuff that I do, and also to interact with people throughout the fishing community. But I've also used it to find some really cool new companies. I scroll through For You pages. I search lure companies in search bars. I'll just, I'll type, for me, I'll type like Indiana Custom Base. I have no idea if that's even a company, right? If it is, please let me know. But they may have that might be a page, and you hop on there and you never know what you're going to find. So just scrolling around and looking for stuff. Obviously be smart. Don't just go typing credit card numbers into random places. Obviously don't be stupid. But, going through and just trying to find these companies and just trying to get a hint of what's out there. Also, another way, this might sound a little stalkerish, but hear me out here. Find people that you like that fish, whether that be a professional fisherman, influencer, a buddy, whoever it is, and go into their following page or into their following tab on their profile. See who they are following. I have found so many different companies just by going on and saying who follows who and who tags who in posts. And guys, it's a bit time consuming, but it's led me to some awesome bait makers. And so far, it's been a really successful time. I found companies I'd never heard of before. I'm super pumped to try out. Just really, like I said, it takes a bit of time. It's not nearly as quick. It's definitely a little more frustrating. It's not a perfect method, but it is one of those methods that has helped me out a ton. So that is my second method, which is using social media to find these companies. Alrighty, so moving on now to method number 3 on how I find these really cool lure brands. And this is going to be scrolling shopping platforms. And this can be something like the Shop app, for example, which I use quite a bit. I love using the Shop app. Not sponsored by them at all. But sometimes we're running some really cool deals. I found some stuff on 15 off a purchase of 25 or more. To certain companies like Grande Bass, which I've gotten and I've liked so far. Even places like Amazon, Tackle Warehouse, Land Big Fish, newly opened The Rod Locker. Going to shout them out, even though again, no affiliation with them, but I love their stuff. Should actually have an order coming in from them today, so pretty pumped about that. But just kind of go on and scroll these apps, search, crankbait, right? And just see what they've got. Sometimes they got some really cool stuff. Sometimes they don't. And obviously there's a ton of other places you can look to, other, Omnia Fishing, all these other places. You can go on like eBay, you can go on, Facebook Marketplace, but just kind of look on places like that. Like I said, sometimes you'll find some deals, sometimes you'll find these small brands. You just never really know what you're going to find until you're on there. And it honestly really is a really cool platform. Again, especially places like the Shop app, make sure that it's one of those that when you're on there, it's secure. When you're checking out, make sure you're not, getting your identity stolen or getting anything stolen from you. So be smart with it. But that is another way. Moving on to method number 4, and this is piggybacking off of last week's episode, we're going to talk about local fishing expos. Fishing expos are a really cool place to find small lure makers, especially the local ones. And the advantage to finding more local companies is that they're building lures for that area of the country, right? If I live here in the Indianapolis area and I'm going to build lures to go out and fish with, I'm not going to build lures that work well on Lake Fork, because guess what? Lake Fork's in Texas and I ain't in Texas, right? I'm gonna look for stuff that works at Eagle Creek, that works at Monroe, that works up at Morse, works at Geist, works at the region water, water place, lakes and rivers and all of the local water sources. And that's what's really cool about this, right? People who make lures are doing it for a reason. It's to catch fish, right? So again, not making stuff in Indiana that works in Texas or works in Florida or works in California. You're making stuff, if you're in Indiana, you're making lures, you're making lures to fish in Indiana. The other great part about these expos is that you're typically meeting the person, the guy or the gal, who is actually making the lure. So you get to make a really cool personal connection with the person. You know exactly where your money's going to. You get talking, they get to tell you how to fish the lure, how they make it. There can be some really cool stuff learned when you're talking with these people. You can create a really good relationship with them. Also, sometimes dealers at expos are running deals on gear. I've seen them, at buy one get one half off. You get special colors. Even buy one get one free, 20% off everything they got. There's all sorts of different deals that they're running. Just go check out these expos, talk to the stands, talk to the people there, learn how to fish the lures, learn who makes them. And because honestly, that is really cool. And again, if there's a deal on it, that's great, because now you're saving money on something you're going to buy regardless. So that is our 4th method, and that is going to be local fishing expos. Method number 5 is very similar, but it's local small fishing stores. So I'm not talking about Academy, not talking about Dick's Sporting Goods, not talking about Walmart. I'm talking about that mom and pop shop that, it's a little bit pricey sometimes. Maybe a bag of Zoom trick worms is 50 cents more than it is at the Academy, but you go in there and it's that cool vibe. They've got, the Edmund Fitzgerald song playing over the radio. You guys know what I'm talking about. But that's where you can find some really cool local bait makers. Guys, again, that are in the area, not national guys. Again, I'm here in Indiana. So not guys making them out of North Carolina or making them out of, New York or wherever. Guys in Indiana, girls in Indiana making these custom plastics and carving their own crankbaits and all this great stuff, painting their own, their own top water and their own jerk baits. That's where you get to kind of, you get to get the local stuff, and you also get to support a local small business. You get to get your hands on them prior. You get to learn about these companies. You get to see them. You can also talk with workers of the tackle shop and the other anglers in there and see what they're throwing, right? Because remember, those are the guys that are fishing in your area. These guys don't fish all around, and some of them do fish around the country, but these guys primarily fish where you fish, so they will know what works in the area. And that leads us to number 6, to our 6th and final method, which is talking to other anglers to see what they use. Again, very similar to 5, it's straightforward. If you're out fishing and you see a guy out there wearing fish out, you don't got to go over and be up, put your nose up his butt and be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't go over and piss the guy off. Approach him, say hi, get talking with him. Say, hey man, I noticed you're killing over here on a crankbait. What brand is that? I don't think I've ever seen that one before. If it's one that you don't recognize, right? Now, obviously, if it's a Rapala, if it's an OG series, and we all know what an Ox Garage is gonna look like, so don't go over and just be like, oh, you're throwing an OG. You're like, no. If it's something that you've never seen before, go over and talk to guys, right? And figure out what they're throwing, what they're doing, because honestly, you've already found their spot, right? You know where their fishing spot is if you're talking to them in person at the water. So it doesn't really matter. You're not burning their spot. You don't have to ask for all the juice. But hey, what's working for you? Sometimes those conversations go well. Sometimes they don't. I'll give you that. But usually that goes pretty well. So those were 6 methods, everybody, on how I find small batch fishing lures. We'll go through them again real quick. One, Dark Horse Tackle. Using them, you can either use their mystery tackle box, or you can just use their bait shop. Number 2 is social media. Number 3 is scrolling shopping platforms like the Shop app, Tackle Warehouse, etc. Number 4, local fishing expos. Number 5, local fishing stores. And 6, talking to other anglers. So that is, again, the 6 methods for how I find these cool small batch fishing lures. Now we're going to move on to our second topic of the episode today, and allow me to pull this up on my phone because I'm going to need my phone for this. So we're going to now talk about brand deals and brand sponsorships. We haven't talked about that before, but that is something that is kind of becoming part of this, my social medias, my YouTube, my podcast. I'm wanting to try and add in some sort of brand deals. I'm not looking for free stuff. I'm not, looking for free money or handouts or anything. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for some sort of partnership. I'm going to be very straightforward with you guys. I'm looking to find a company to work with, or a couple companies, where we can do a partnership that benefits me, benefits them, and also benefits you guys that listen and watch my stuff. Whether it be discount codes, whether it be, I buy 5 baits, get 1 free, whatever it might be, right? I don't know, but I want these brands to be part of my Instagram, part of my YouTube, part of the podcast on a routine basis. And while in the process of reaching out to these brands, I've heard back from some and not from others, and that's completely fine. No one is required to reach out and do a brand deal with me. It's part of it. They don't have to do it. And I have begun talking with one brand who will remain unnamed, because we don't have any sort of deal in place yet, and I don't obviously want to put any pressure on them. There's, if they don't want to do it, that's fine. If they want to do it, that's great. I'd love to do it. But again, I want my brand deals to be partnerships. I want there to be a good, mutually beneficial end goal for everybody. But I found one company that actually reached out to me I want to tell a story about. And I'm being honest, we're going to name drop here, and that's fine, because I think it's fair. We're not here to completely bash them, but we're going to tell the true story. And by telling the true story, all I'm going to do is read the chat to you guys. So, backstory. On January 14th of 2026, I received a DM from what seemed to be a pretty popular fishing clothing brand. They did shirts, they did hats, they did sweatshirts, they even did some sunglasses, and it looked like some pretty cool stuff. And this company is called Keep It Real Fishing. KEEPITREEL and then fishing. Pretty simple to find on social media. They have a ton of followers, pretty big page, and they sent me this message at 8:56 p.m. Hey man, love the page. Interested in joining our pro staff? You'll get a discount on our floating polarized sunglasses along with some free stuff, and 25% off our printed and embroidered in the U.S. clothing. Let me know, I'll send you the info. So I read that and I'm pretty pumped. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I like sunglasses. Floating sunglasses are a cool idea. Who doesn't like a good shirt or a good hat? So I responded back, hey, thank you very much. I would be really interested in more information, as I've been looking for sponsorships for my YouTube channel and my podcast. So they respond the next day, and they state, nothing crazy at all. We're just a small home business, so we can't send free gear to start off. But for your first order today, I can give you 2 options. Option 1 is if I want to order the sunglasses, they have a Pro Staff bundle with them. It's 50% off plus a free Pro Staff t-shirt and a free decal. Okay, so I'm like, oh, that's cool. I have to check out the sunglasses. By the way, those sunglasses are $200, so they wanted me to spend $100 there, which $100 for me is still a lot of money. Or option 2, if I just want to do the clothing side of it, I get 25% off my entire order of their clothing, hats, hoodies, performance gear, etc. I can also get a custom code to give out to friends, family, and followers if I'd like. One of the best things about it is that I would be posted. Sorry, let's go back to reading their exact quote. One of the best things about it is you'll be posted to our Instagram with 140,000 followers. And of course, the biggest thing is repping a small American home family business that actually supports you the way you support them. Not some giant warehouse that won't even like your photos, follow you, or let alone post to their page. LOL. Give our owner a follow also, that way if you ever need him, at Mason Foreman. Also, really just want some good dudes rocking our stuff rather than giant foreign warehouses. Let me know if you'd like to accept or decline the Pro Staff offer, because we're filling spots for 2026. So at this point, I had to do some thinking. I went around, did some looking. Hats and shirts were about $40 a piece. Like I said, the sunglasses were $200. Yeah, it came with a free shirt. and a decal, but so be it, right? They're still $100. So, and for me, if I'm going to do some sort of clothing order, I'm going to get a hat and a shirt, right? I'd like to be able to rep both if that's what they're going to be putting in their pictures. So it's somewhere between a $60 and a $100 investment from me into this company. I responded the next day. I am very interested. I just don't have a ton of extra cash sitting around right now to start buying clothing and sunglasses. Could we put together a code to start and I can make Keep It Real a sponsor of the podcast? Then as time goes on and I get a bit of an income stream from my media sites, we can reevaluate and I can get an order together. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to work with you all. And I responded, and I sat there and waited and they didn't really respond. And I responded and I was like, but I would like to accept the offer. He goes, yes, we can. Let me know when you're ready to join an order. I said, perfect. I said, I do have a couple of questions, however. One, what is going to be the cost of the initial order? And two, what do you all envision sponsorship being for either the podcast or the YouTube channel? And then in parentheses, requirements on my end as well as benefits for me and my followers. Let me know. I'm excited. I'm very excited to set up a deal. They responded and said, depends on what you order. We don't have requirements for stuff like that. This is a very laid back pro staff. We support people who want to support American small home business in an industry that is all foreign warehouses that don't even post customers. So they didn't really answer my question here, right? So again, I've kind of done some math in my head. I've noticed they want me to invest between 60 and $100. And all they're going to do really is post me on their social media. So I did some more looking and I went back and remember, this is January now 16th of 2026. They had not posted on their Instagram since September 4th of 2025, almost 4.5 months. I also noticed by scrolling through, they had like 600 different quote unquote pro staff people, which isn't really what pro staff is. I understand pro staff isn't professional, it means promotional staff. But in my eyes, pro staff is a small group, 5, 10, 15, 20 people, somewhere in there that you pick to show off your brand. You're not just out here selling t-shirts at 25% off to anyone and everyone and let them say they're pro staff. So here's what I'm thinking, right? I'm like, what's the deal? So I respond and I say, so if I were to order a t-shirt and a hat, what would that cost me? Plus, how does this benefit me and my following? I don't have a huge following, but I have some followers. I get some decent listeners. They respond, using a company that actually posts you, using an American company, and I'm not sure, man. It depends on which one. It would be 25% off your total order. So the benefit for me and my following is using them, right? There's no benefit to that. They might give me a discount code. They might not. They talked about it. So I said, I get that. I'm just looking into how this benefits me and my followers, if that makes sense. How many views does a post of yours get on average? They said, depends on the picture. Most posts are viewed 200,000 times. I said, that's awesome. That's a ton of That's a huge follower. They've got like 140,000 followers. Let's look real quick. I'm literally on my phone. They have exactly 140,000 followers. And still their last post was September 4th, 2025. I'm going to pull up a couple of their past people that they've posted, and we're looking at follower counts. There's 595 followers. There's 84. Let's go to this guy. There's 434, 342. So we're not, they're not getting you thousands of followers. So I responded back and said, awesome. Is there a way we could do a trial run? You guys do a post. I see how it benefits me, and we circle back. I just don't like to jump into things without information and data, if that makes sense. So I understand it's kind of a big ask, right? I'm kind of asking, hey, can we see how this goes? And they say, no, we can't post anyone not in our stuff. I said, I get that. Let me think a few days. I've had a couple other offers as well, which I have at this point. So I'm going to try and find what works best for me. And they liked that. So the next day I responded back and said, so I've done some thinking. I would like to sign on, but would like to request 50% in free shipping for my first order. I just don't have $60 plus shipping sitting around. After shipping and taxes, they were for a t-shirt and a hat was going to be about $70. I went on and did the math. I said, I'd love to be able to test the gear and review it on the show. They said, I can't change the code. It gives you 50% off a free t-shirt and a free decal. Even with free shipping, it's $100. I said, okay, thank you for the communication, but I'm going to pass. I just don't see the benefit on my end. Best of luck. So that was on January 16th at 12:43 p.m. I sent that message back. On January 20th at 3:55 p.m., here's their exact message to me after saying, very kindly again, okay, thank you for the communication, but I'm going to pass. Just don't see the benefit on my end. Best of luck. Again, I didn't ask for anything free. I've yet to ask for any free gear at this point, any free sunglasses, hats. All I've asked is, can we make a deal that's mutually beneficial? Because again, I've explained to them I don't have between $60 and $100 just sitting around to spend on a clothing company that I honestly had never heard of before. I had never heard of this company until they messaged me, and honestly didn't need to add to my arsenal. I have my hook gear that I wear. I wear some PFG stuff. I wear Magellan, and I'm not sponsored by any of them, but I wear what's comfortable to me because money's not the end goal. And so they respond 4 days later, and here's their exact message. Don't see the benefit on our end sending you basically free shit either, so that's great. Period. Yep, that's how they responded after I said best of luck. Sorry, thank you for the communication, but I don't see the benefit here. Best of luck. Thank you for your time, all that, right? And they come back with, don't see the benefit on our end sending you basically free shit either, so that's great. Wow. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I was honestly appalled at how they responded and treated me. I felt my request was fair. I felt 25% off on shirts and hats. It was pretty much free advertising for them. I'm wearing their shirt, wearing their hat and my stuff. They post me. It might give me a couple followers. It might not. But they also had a bad track record of posting. They hadn't posted in 4.5 months, right? And so it felt like rather than being a partnership, they didn't seem interested in, building a working mutual relationship. Also, I know my value. While I'm not raking in hundreds of thousands of views, at least right now, you never know. I'm working on growing my channels. I'm working on making my Instagram better, my TikTok. My TikTok has a pretty good following, so go check that out. It is Tyler Blackie Fishing, by the way. My YouTube's got a decent amount of followers, and I get some good viewership numbers on my podcast, right? So there are people out there that have, when I've said buy things in the past, they have. I had a guy that messaged me in about a fishing reel. He was asking about the Abu Garcia Max Pro. And I did a whole review episode on it. Go check it out. It's a great episode. And he commented back on it afterwards. This review is awesome. After listening to this review, I went out and bought it. Guys, that's a $90 fishing reel just because I said I liked it. I don't know this guy. He doesn't know me, but he trusted my word. And so I didn't want to spend all this money out of my pocket on a brand that I honestly don't even know. I'd never heard of before. Don't know their quality, and spend this money and then just have stuff that I don't like, and then have you guys go out and buy and not like it either, right? That's just not who I am. So I don't want to promote a company, to people who trust me, who honestly don't seem to give a crap about anyone but themselves. Again, let's read that last message one more time, right? This is from the Keep It Real Fishing business chat into my DMs. Don't see the benefit on our end sending you basically free shit either, so that's great. How rude is that, guys? Honestly, I get it. Business is business, but there is no respect there. And I'm going to be clear. I'm not here to just bash this company, okay? Maybe a little bit. Not trying to just tear them up and bash them, but I'm going to be straight up and honest with you guys about my experiences and what happened with me. And the point of this conversation really is for other anglers out there and other content creators to understand that brand deals isn't always glitz and glamour. Don't just take the first one. This was, one of the first ones truly offered to me. I had been in communication with others, but I hadn't had any true offers yet. And I'm sitting there, I'm kind of pumped. I'm like, this is really cool. I'm really excited. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, this doesn't help me. This doesn't help you guys. The only person this helps is the company I'm sending $60 to $100 to for crap that honestly I don't need. I don't need floating sunglasses. I have Oakley sunglasses I love. Sorry, I just smacked my desk with my hand. I've got stuff that I use. I've got shirts and hats that I wear. I don't need more stuff, especially at the price that they wanted. So if you want to find a brand deal, go find a brand deal that is worth the time and effort and will be mutually, good Lord, that was hard, a mutually beneficial partnership in the end. Don't just jump on the first one. So, all right, you guys, that is me. I'm going to jump off my soapbox now. That is the story of and the lesson of don't jump on the first brand deal that reaches out to you. Make sure you know your worth because there is definitely people out there trying to take advantage of you. So that is this week's episode for you all, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. Sorry again about my rant. Wanted to get that out there. We're a pretty open podcast. We don't hide anything from you guys. Pretty straight up. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. And if you have, please be sure to drop us a positive review on whatever podcast platform you tune in with, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or Amazon Podcasts. We're available on all 5 of those. You can either give us, a 5-star rating a thumbs up, a follow, whatever it might be. And again, like I said, be sure to drop us a follow there as well. It does help out the algorithm. Also, please be sure to follow and check out my Instagram, my YouTube, and my TikTok. All of them are Tyler Blackie Fishing. All have the same logo. Super simple to find. If you can't find them, they're all linked together. I have links of everything in all my profiles. Super easy to put together. But there you can see what I've been up to. DM suggestions for the show, ask questions for the tackle box, which will be coming back at some point, or just honestly chat with me about fishing, about golf, whatever you want to talk about. Let's talk. Thank you guys so much for listening every week and dedicating your time to the show. I do appreciate you guys' support. You guys are the whole reason I put the show on. I'm just some idiot talking into a microphone, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully you guys have learned something about fishing or about life or anything at all, because honestly, this show is a ton of fun to put together, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So thank you guys again so much for listening, and until next time, tight lines, y'all.